Wisconsin weather experts. It is Monday, the last Monday of October.
That's right.
26th. Can you believe it? The month is rolling along. And
27th, I believe. Yeah.
27th.
27th.
There
This
we go.
moved
All
along
right.
faster than
You know
even
what? I'm
thought.
a little slow this morning.
No,
It's the start of the week.
I think you thought 26 because it does
does
say that date
in
in
the
the prompter. The reason is that this past weekend, the 26th of October, actually marked a significant event in meteorological history. So as we look back, as we often do on this show before looking forward, Sunday marked 15 years since a devastating and unusually large system tore across the Midwest and the Great Lakes region. It was so strong that it actually broke the record for the lowest sea level pressure measured in Wisconsin, with Superior, Wisconsin measuring 961.3 millibars at 11:15 in the morning. The previous record was 963.4 millibars. So it wasn't just a whisker there. It was a significant record-breaking low-pressure system. The previous record was set back in 1982, so that had been a while as well. It was the second lowest pressure reading for a non-tropical or extratropical system in the continental United States, just to show you how powerful and how deep that low pressure system was. So the intensity of this low brought wind gusts of 68 miles per hour in Sheboygan and at the Kenosha Airport. A thunderstorm along the cold front created a fast moving EF1 tornado that moved through the area from the morning. It moved from Summers in Kenosha County to Graceland Cemetery in Racine very, very quickly. There was damage to buildings and trees, but thankfully no fatalities for that event.
Yeah, and you know, like you mentioned, not only a big impact here, but it impacted the entire Midwest and many other areas. So definitely interesting to see some of that footage that we had from back then. Thankfully, we were able to have, you know, things like cameras that can record it, but just a massive system and something that we don't see that often to have that kind of strength. And
it's kind of a recent history in that it was 2010, only 15 years ago. I remember being here. I remember that tornado breaking out during wake up 7:47 in the AM, moving very quickly. And I remember, you know, at the time, you know, just thinking how peculiar this was. Interestingly, here we are 15 years later, and peculiar is the new norm.
Correct.
We're talking about so many things that are outside the lines these days that now that storm would still stand out today, but maybe not as much as it did 15 years ago.
Yeah, and the morning commute hours, when you have to cover that, that's scary.
And
There's
in a metro population,
in
in counties that often labor under the myth that they're too close to the lake for tornadoes.
I know.
There you go.
There you go.
So this weekend was the anniversary of proof that that is not always the case. But
well,
let's get back to present day.
We're going to talk about something else that may be historic. Yes, the story of present day, and you may be seeing a lot about it. It is Hurricane Melissa. This video was taken over the weekend as Jamaica is getting set for major impacts.
That's right. Hurricane Melissa intensified to Category 5 strength this morning. It's expected to make landfall tonight. Melissa is the strongest hurricane in recent history to directly impact Jamaica or directly hit Jamaica. Jamaican officials say cleanup and damage assessments will be severely delayed because of anticipated landslides, flooding, and blocked roads. This video, very similar to those shot earlier in the weekend on Saturday in the Dominican, where the civil defense workers are walking through floodwaters after Melissa barreled through that part of the Caribbean as a much lower strength system. More than 3,700 people were still evacuated as a result, though, and over 127,000 homes were left without water service, again, across the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good thing, but you know, we're going to break down the latest and what we can expect and the track, because there have been some changes since this morning. One of the things that we've been showing is a live look from the Bahamas, and the sky has continued to get more clouds out there, a little more ominous, with waves starting to pick up as well. Now, while the Bahamas is not going to see the impacts from Melissa first, it is going to make its way still as a Category storm, projected around a Category 2 storm, impacting the Bahamas within the next few days. Here's a look right now at Hurricane Melissa. We can see that well-defined eye as it is sitting south of Jamaica. But even though the eye is still quite a ways away from the actual island of Jamaica, we are seeing the outer bands, and as Rob's been talking about this morning, the upper right quadrant, where we have most of the impacts, the most potential and dangerous impacts, that is already hitting portions of Jamaica currently. Now, prior to Melissa moving in, unfortunately, Jamaica's already been dealing with lots of flooding due to heavy rain, strong winds, and it's only going to get worse as Melissa continues to move towards Jamaica heading into tonight and tomorrow morning. Again, it's feeding off of the very warm ocean waters right now. Temperatures in the mid-80s there, so that is what has been increasing the strength. Also expected to have rain totals that could be 15 inches to 30 inches of rain. So it's currently a Category 5. Winds have also increased within the past hour and a half to now 165 miles an hour. And again, this is expected to make landfall now on the southwestern portion of Jamaica at a Category 5 storm. That will make it the strongest hurricane to ever make landfall in Jamaica. And even if it does happen to weaken to a 4, which is not likely right now, that would make it the strongest storm in over 35 years that has hit Jamaica. So catastrophic impacts not only in storm surge, the amount of rain, but landslides also expected as well. It'll continue to weaken as it makes its way towards Cuba, looking to move on shore there and making landfall by Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night as a Category 3, and then again heading up towards the Bahamas as a Category 2. So we're tracking at least some calmer weather here. Not great in the Gulf. We'll continue to talk more about that though and track it closely, as well as our own local weather as we head through the upcoming days.
That's right. Thank you, Lisa. Meanwhile, in the Seattle area, many folks are still without power this morning after a weekend of wet and windy weather. Downed trees took out power lines, and of course the same trees are slowing the power company's efforts to bring them back online, even as we go through this early afternoon or early morning of their local time. For only the second time in recorded history, listen to this story, there was a flash flood emergency for the second time only in history in Central Florida. Seems like that would not be the case, but there you have it. Second time only flash flood, Central Florida. Look at that.
I can't believe it. I mean, look at that. There's definitely not only water, but sinkholes. And this video of the flooding in Eustis, Florida, is just north of Orlando. Now, a Kroger delivery truck had to be pulled out of the water along with several other cars. A lake and Beaver countries were two of the hardest hit areas, with Lake County seeing over 16 inches of rain. And that's on the low side of what Melissa could be bringing Jamaica. So look at that impact. It's going to be a lot worse.
Just to give you a visual, that's a good point.
Yeah.
There's also bad flooding on the Space Coast of Florida as well. We just got this video in from Titusville. High waters turned streets into streams. So you can see as one person is out there in a canoe, not advisable, trying to navigate the flooded streets.
And, you know, flooding has been a big topic for weather here with the past summer, as well as Waukesha County, where it was one of the hardest hit counties back in July with our historic flooding. Back in August actually, was when we had a lot of the flooding impacts as well. But on this past Friday, so just a couple days ago, the federal government actually denied the request to help in repairing public infrastructure. Fox 6's Abril Preciado has more.
Some of the boards are missing down by the river. The ballards that hold the chain so like you don't fall into the river, those a couple of those were knocked over.
It's a sight Mike Sandroni has seen at the Riverwalk in Waukesha for the last 2 months.
It's been blocked off ever since the flood.
A popular area now blocked with orange fencing after historic floods ripped through here in August.
It was almost all the way up to the top step.
This is just one of the areas Waukesha County took damage. It's why the state asked the federal government for help in repairing public infrastructure across 6 counties, including Waukesha. On Friday, FEMA denied that request, telling Fox 6 the damage from the event was not of such severity and magnitude as to be beyond the capabilities of the states and local governments to recover.
So if we have to absorb those costs, we're going to have to make some tough decisions.
Hillary Mintz with Waukesha County says the storms cost $2 million in damages countywide. It cost the county government specifically about $330,000.
We have to make those repairs. We have to move on. But again, how do we cover the cost of those? We're going to have to make those decisions, have those talks, and that's still something that we need to do.
Mintz says now more than 2,000 people in Waukesha receive FEMA individual assistance. As the county works to get creative, Sandroni says he's hopeful that means those damaged areas can get back to normal.
And I wish they would just give us some money so we can fix it.
Abril Preciado, Fox 6 News.
Now, with this FEMA news, that could mean property tax hikes for the residents of Wauwatosa. The city says it hopes insurance will help in offsetting the repair costs. We're told any adjustments to the taxes will not affect the 2025 property tax bills. The Trump administration did approve nearly $30 million in financial federal aid for individuals. Some residents were eligible for more, depending, of course, on where they lived.
Yeah, so it's going to still be a long time before we get a lot of this mess cleaned up, but we're going to continue to give you those details, especially maybe if we can see some of the progress and get some HOPER funding in the future.
Flooding not an issue today.
Not an issue today, that is correct. For us, at least, we are tracking this high pressure higher up in the atmosphere that is actually kind of just situated over portions of New England and the Great Lakes, and that is keeping our weather dry from Sunday and will continue to keep things at bay as we head through the upcoming days. We are going to talk about some of the other impacts, though, across the country, because taking a look at the Pacific Northwest, this is where we have a trail of low pressure systems from Canada coming through areas of the Dakotas, even into areas heading into the mountain range, the Rockies there by Denver and Utah. Notice, though, in the Dakotas, that's where we have the rain, but in the mountains where the air is colder aloft, we are producing snow. So areas in Montana, Idaho, again, we are dealing with winter headlines, something, of course, we have not had yet, but we will have to keep an eye on for the upcoming months, of course. Winter weather advisories as well as winter storm warnings have been issued, and it's not only going to be the snow falling, but the strong winds associated with this system across these areas, which could be 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, in the lower elevations, we're talking about snow that could accumulate 1 to 4 inches, of course, that can still cause an headache and creates slick travel, but the mountainous areas, that is where we could see up to 10 inches of snow in the mountains. So again, it's going to vary depending on where you are in these areas, as well as reducing visibility due to the strong winds and blowing snow. Now, instead of talking about the cold, we're going to switch things over talking about the warmth, because portions of California, southern portions of California, heading into Arizona and Mexico, we are ahead of a low pressure system, and that's where the heat has been building. In fact, we are looking at really warm temperatures for this time of year from the Los Angeles area southward, that there is a heat advisory in October issued for those zones. We're talking about high temperatures for Tuesday and Wednesday, projected to be from 90 to 97 degrees. And while it's not looking to break records, it's just very, very warm for this time of year there. Now, they'll eventually get some cooler temperatures later on in the week, but we are switching gears now to the East Coast, because Rob mentioned earlier we had historic flooding for some areas of Florida, and more rain is going to be associated from portions of the Ohio River Valley heading towards the Carolinas as well as Florida. Ahead of that system itself, we will be tracking light to moderate and even heavy rain at times. And in Florida itself, that's where we see the central and eastern portions of the state. We are dealing with a marginal risk for some strong to severe storms today, mainly going to be in the impacts of winds with the potential of some flooding. It's not looking to be the risk in hail in terms of tornadoes and hail, but still a risk that we have to watch for. Severe weather is not only favorable for most areas in the spring, but also we can have that second round as we head into the fall. Let's take a look at satellite and radar back here at home, though, because as I mentioned, that high pressure in New England and the Great Lakes, that is keeping things calm. But we are watching a low pressure system off to our west, and eventually that's going to move in, mainly causing the impacts of increasing our clouds Tuesday into Wednesday. That high, I think, is going to try to squeeze that system to the south, looking to keep us dry through most of the week. But notice as this low lifts further north into New England, we will be swinging around some colder air behind it and enough moisture to possibly give us some wraparound light showers as we head into Friday, which is Halloween. Now, Halloween, yes, is Friday. We're starting off warmer for the beginning of this week, mid to upper 50s, then dropping to the lower 50s by the end of the week. We will keep a close eye on the shower potential, but I will tell you this, even our longer range models right now, we are not not putting widespread showers as it looks for Friday. Some of that wraparound moisture could bring us a couple light showers, maybe some sprinkles heading into the trick-or-treat forecast, but I still think we're going to be in a better phase here with our systems to have a relatively pleasant week. So as we continue again to move through the upcoming days, of course, we have some of our peak fall foliage you might want to go out and see. It will be a little breezier today, Tuesday, and portions of Wednesday, and really take advantage of this, because once we start to see those leaves drop, especially with the wind aiding those leaves more to the ground, of course, that means we start heading into that mindset of winter, and before you know it, snow will be here. So let's take a live look outside quickly. We are going to have a lot more coming up after the break. We are seeing sunshine right now, though, with some of those puffy cumulus clouds. Looks pretty great.
It's nice out there. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We've been talking a lot about hurricanes as we are still in hurricane season.
That's right.
But now, as Rob's been talking a little bit about this morning, quadrants. And the latest from Hurricane Melissa is going to be really important in terms of quadrants, as well as more information on how that can impact areas. So we're going to take a deeper dive into the text of how we use information and track the storms. Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks is going to give it to you.
Well, let's talk more about Hurricane Melissa. And I'm taking you back to last night where we are looking at the infrared satellite. So first I want to explain specifically what we're looking at. This is not radar. Radar will show you where the rain and the thunderstorms are. Satellite is up in space. It's taking a picture of the clouds from space, and that's what we're looking at here. Now, you'll notice the different colors, and that ranges from warm cloud tops to cold cloud tops, and you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't cold blue and red warm? Well, typically yes, but we've switched those around in this case where you're seeing the cold cloud tops are in red, even in gray here, which is indicative of very cold cloud tops. Why is this important? Well, think about this for a minute. If you were to go up in a hot air balloon, does it get hotter or does it get colder? It gets colder, right? Same thing if you go to the top of a mountain. Well, it gets colder the higher up you go. So we can look at this satellite and it's estimating cloud top temperatures here. The colder the cloud tops, the taller they are, which is indicative of stronger storms and stronger thunderstorms. And that's what you're seeing in those gray areas here. So this is what we're looking at. It's the infrared satellite. We can see this during the day and also at night. And again, it's estimating the cloud top temperatures, with the colder cloud tops equating to the stronger storms. Now, what you'll look at here as well is that eye that is just very, very crisp, also indicative of a major monster hurricane here. So what else do we look at when it comes to hurricanes and it comes to forecasting impacts? Well, what we do as meteorologists is we divide this into quadrants, or we divide it into fourths. Now, what's so important when you're looking at this is that this is based upon the motion of the storm. So when this image was taken, when this loop was taken, the storm was moving to the west. So as you're looking to the west, we are looking at this quadrant here, and that's delivering what would be delivering a lot of water, a lot of wave action. That would be the quadrant that we are looking at for the storm surge and for some of the greatest impacts from the system. Now, which would be in this case to the north and northwest of the eye. But when this storm changes course and it starts to go north, well, then it's going to be this quadrant here that we're looking at. So in other words, when the storm starts moving north, we're going to be looking just to the right of the eye for the strongest storm surge, which is that layer upon layer upon layer of water building up, ocean water building up on the southern side of Jamaica. So again, the overall point here is it is relative to the storm motion when we're talking about quadrants. Westerly movement, well, we're looking in this quadrant. Northerly movement, we're looking in this quadrant. And that's, again, going to be the strongest part of the storm. So yes, the eye, right around the eye there, what we call the eye wall, that's where you're going to get the strongest of the winds out of the storm. But when you're talking about that storm surge onto the island, that is going to be coming from that upper right quadrant, if you will, as it's moving to the north. And you're also going to get really island-wide torrential amounts of rain, flash flooding, and the potential in some of these areas, especially eastern Jamaica, 15, 30, 40 inches of rain. Now that's in addition to the storm surge on the southern part of the island, and we haven't even talked wind yet. The winds could be on the order of 130, 140, 150, or 60 miles per hour. I mean, serious winds. Every sort of impact here with hurricanes is a possibility. So I just wanted to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit with not only what you're looking at here from the satellite perspective, but also what we look at behind the scenes to try to measure who's going to get the worst of the impact.
Fascinating. Thanks for the deep dive on the science there, Tom. We'll be back with more Wisconsin weather experts in just 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We have another fascinating episode from the Isobar coming up, right, Rob?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a chance to sit down with the chief meteorologists from Chicago and Detroit. We do this every other week, every fortnight, we like to say. And we just talk weather and all things weather related. And this time around, we got into an interesting chat about how fallback, the adjustment of our clocks, impacts us and whether we should even be doing it at all.
That's what
There
I
you
said.
go. Well, Emily, you've got the youngest kids of the three of
Yeah.
us. And I remember when my kids were young, I'm sure you do too, Rich, they don't care what the clock says.
Oh, yeah.
They do what they do. So are you dreading this? Are you excited about it? Because fallback may or may not mean an extra hour of sleep for you.
I already know that it absolutely does not need it doesn't mean an extra hour of sleep for me, but thinking of the big picture. So we're a little bit different here, Rob and you and I than Rich, because we are at the beginning of our time zone. So if we were to not do daylight saving time, we would have several months of the year where, at least here in the Chicago area specifically, and it should be about the same in Milwaukee as well, that our sunrise would not be until well into the 8 o'clock hour.
It's a good point. And not only about the time, but it's also where you are in the time zone. If you want to hear the rest of that conversation, check out the Isobar on Fox Local, which you're watching right now. Or you might be watching us on YouTube. It's on there as well. Just click on the playlist tab. It'll be right there for you.
I'm hooked because we're going to be changing those clocks back this upcoming weekend, believe it or not. All right.
It's like we planned it that way.
Well, we're going to take a look at a quick video, something that, is not hurricane-based, but we have this photographer from France, Thomas Soulet. You know more about the French, right?
Probably Soulet.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Headed up to the mile-high peak of, how would you pronounce this, Rob?
Puy de la Tâche.
Ooh, you make it sound so fancy. And that's in central France as Storm Benjamin came ashore on Thursday. Now, he said he was at an altitude of 5,350 feet, and he showed you just how difficult it was to walk. He had to be at a 50-degree angle. I mean, and he can barely move forward. So he did say that the winds were about 115 miles an hour, which would have been equivalent to a Category 3 storm.
Fascinating to watch. Hopefully we were just as fascinating to watch, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Wisconsin Weather Experts.